What's going on, Legionnaires, and welcome back to Comic Breakdown. If you're new to the channel, do me a favor and hit that sub button, hit that notification bell, and make sure you're not missing any of the content that we have coming out. Now, we're getting these videos out a little bit later than we normally do because we did have that interview go on earlier today covering one of our indie comic creators. And that was for the comic Area 51, the Helix Project. But for this video, we're going to be talking about Infinite Frontiers, Batman, Urban Legends, issue number 1. Now, this issue is unique. It does have 4 stories inside of it, making it a total of 71 pages. And the stories consist of Red Hood, Grifter, Harley Quinn and Poison Ivy, and the Outsiders. Now, this is the beginning of us diving into our Infinite Frontier, really a universe expansion, if you will, of the DC landscape. So if you haven't been keeping up with everything going on with Infinite Frontier, go ahead and check out the link in my description as well as the top of this video. It'll take you to a playlist to get you completely caught up on everything related to Infinite Frontier. Now, with that being said, let's dive into this issue. Alright, so our first one is Red Hood and Batman in Cheer Part 1 of 6. The writer is Chip Zdarsky, artists are Eddy Barrows and Eber Ferreira. And our opening pages have us seeing Red Hood chasing down some kind of perp and talking about how Batman has always used fear as his tool. That was always Batman's weapon. It's something the Red Hood never really adopted. And he kind of dissects a little bit of why that might happen. It could be because, Batman was keeping all the fear to himself and dressing him up like a circus act. But he sees it for the best. It was something he never had to rely on, and so he had to work harder, find more direct methods. And that's where we see him using rubber bullets, so that fear doesn't turn around on him. This is his compromise. This is his compromise to work in Gotham, but it's his only compromise. Now, after catching up to this individual, he's trying to get information out of him. He's looking for a new drug, and he puts his gun up to this guy's head and tells him that he needs to start talking. And he gives him a location of where it could be being manufactured. Now, this drug has only been on the street for a couple of weeks, but it's already destroying the Bowery. And from what he can tell, when people take it, they get a sense of euphoria and extremely pleasant hallucinations. They're calling this drug cheer drops. And from the outside looking in, it honestly sounds like a relatively fun experience. And that's what Red Hood tells us here. With the only exception is that its addicts can end up trapped in a state, walking in front of cars, drowning, committing self-harm, all while witnessing their greatest dreams come to life. And as he's walking through the city, we get a flashback. A flashback of when he was a kid. And Alfred is telling Jason that he needs to be working, he needs to be training, because Bruce Wayne expects him to be doing so upon his return. And so reluctantly, he heads off to go start training and ends up coming into a room full of guns. And sitting here, really admiring everything that's in this collection. This is when Batman shows up behind him and letting him know that he's not allowed in here. And this freaks Jason out. He's like, I thought you were scared. I thought you hated guns. Why do you have them here? And he lets him know, I do hate guns, but I still need to know them. From a forensic aspect to knowing how to master everything about them. And this is the thing about Batman. He needs to master everything. And though he believes guns are for cowards, he still needs to understand the weapon systems that can be used against him. And then it takes us back to present day. And we have Batman watching a few police officers try to talk this guy down from jumping off of a building. And though their efforts are valiant, at the end of the day, they fail. And the man flies off believing that he's going on a roller coaster with his father. And this is where Batman swoops down and catches the man, bringing him down to safety, realizing that this is something that he's going to have to take care of, because this new drug is plaguing everything. But Batman now has some samples of the drug, and we can only assume that he's going to do some rigorous testing to find out exactly what this is made of and where it came from. And as we turn the other page, we have Red Hood going about this investigation his own way. And this is when he arrives at apartment buildings, beating up a guy to try to find the location of where the stuff is manufactured. He goes up the stairwell into this building only to see a woman in a comatose state due to the drug, and her young child sitting at her bedside. Now, Red Hood does his best here to try to comfort this kid, but this is a lot for Red Hood. His own mother had died from a drug overdose. And so this makes it even that much more personal for him. That much more determined to find exactly who is doing all of this. And looking around at this place, he's sure the dad isn't in the best bill of health either, but it's better than him going to the state when the cops get here. And so this is when he makes a phone call to Oracle to track a phone number to be able to find the father. And he tells her why, and she's not even hesitant to help. In the meantime, Red Hood intends on keeping this kid safe. And then picking up in the next panel, we see Batman back in his lab working, trying to dissect this drug and figure out exactly where this came from. After isolating the chemical breakdown of this drug, he figures out that it links back to none other than Dr. Jonathan Crane, aka the Scarecrow, because teardrops is a modified version of Dr. Crane's fear gas, creating a seemingly opposite reaction to the original, which would also help explain that it's really a high probability that Dr. Crane is somehow involved in all of this. The only issue with that is Crane is dead, or at least he is being presumed dead after the A-Day attack in Infinite Frontier issue number 0. And this is when Batman reaches out to Oracle, telling her that he needs some help trying to get this drug. More importantly, trying to find out any known associates of Scarecrow and activities that could be going on. And Batman tells her that this is about the drug teardrops. And this is when Barbara tells him that Jason is also investigating this drug. And his response is simply, I see. And at first, Oracle suggests that they might be able to work together on this. They're both trying to solve this, but Batman's not going to do it. No, he sees Jason as a killer. And so he insists that he's going to do this alone. And then we pick up in the past. And we have Alfred asking Batman what is wrong. And Batman tells him that it's him. He doesn't know how, but Jason is alive. And with all of his training, he needs to prepare for a fight. And so this is after the Joker had killed Jason Todd. And he came back and started essentially laying down justice in his own way. And this is right after Batman finds out exactly who the Red Hood really is. And so Alfred interjects. He's like, do you feel like fighting him is entirely necessary? At the end of the day, he is your son. And Batman thinks to himself and tells Alfred, he is my son, but I don't know what happened to him, and I don't know what to do. And Alfred tells him, with all due respect, you do know. We both know Jason and his anger, but we also know his adoration of you. Not the how of it, but you and I know what he is thinking. He idolized you, and you let him down. We let him down. He was an orphan and we put him in harm's way. He was murdered by the Joker. The man you kept capturing, the man who kept getting free, who kept continuing to kill again and again. We let Jason down. That's what happened to his poor mind. And right now, Bruce Wayne needs to save him instead of Batman trying to fight him. He needs you. And Batman, being his regular stubborn self, tells him that may be, but he's out there killing people, and so Batman has to stop him. And that's the problem with Batman, is this is all he knows. He only knows how to stop things through violent means, for the most part. He does eventually learn to grow to a point, but his answer is always to meet something with violence when Alfred is trying to tell him that there's another way. There is another option here that you can take. This is a monster that both you and I created because we failed him. And the only way we're going to be able to bring him back in is through compassion, not through violence. And then we pick up in present day, Red Hood with his young kid Tyler. And he's walking around looking for this kid's father. And they have kind of a trace on the location. Now this whole neighborhood is looking really rough. And so before he goes in here, he puts his helmet on the kid. He puts his red hood on the kid. And lets him know that if something happens, to just say, Oracle, I need some help. And he's going to kind of stash the kid away. Because what he's about to do is about to probably get really violent. And he doesn't want him in the crossfire. Leaving a kid out in the street, probably not the best option. but this really is his only option in this particular circumstance. And it's really awesome dialogue here, because we see this kid connecting with Red Hood on a really personal level, and he's doing everything he can to comfort this kid, even going as far as giving him a nickname, asking him what he wants his superhero name to be. He asks him what his is, and he tells him it's Red Hood, and he says, okay, well, since my favorite color is blue, my nickname, my superhero name is going to be the Blue Hood, which actually I really hope we see this come back around later on. We get to see a Blue Hood, and it would be this kid Tyler. That would be absolutely amazing to see later on down the line. And so Red Hood goes in and does what needs to be done. Now he sneaks in through the top, and as he gets in here, he's met immediately by guys with guns, because this place is the place of operations for where this drug is getting distributed from. And this is when Red Hood drops in, firing his rubber bullets left and right, taking down these bad guys. And as he's taking them out, he's looking for one individual by the name of Andy, the boy's father. And the man goes running out of the room, and Jason chases him down, kicking down a door, running through the alley, hitting him with a rubber bullet in the back, and coming up to this kid, to this man, asking him if his name is Andy. And he says it is, and asks what it is to him, and he tells him that he has his son, and that his wife is now in a coma, and he's here so his son doesn't go in the system. And the response is what shakes Red Hood more than anything, because the man's response is, I don't care. They are nothing but leeches. They have done nothing but take my drugs from me, even the kid, when I gave him it so he would shut up. And so it's showing the kind of evil character this individual is, and Red Hood can't take this. Hearing this just makes him snap, and he pulls his pistol out and shoots this guy point blank in the chest with these rubber rounds, and they penetrate, and we see blood dripping out, and this guy die right here in this alleyway. And Red Hood asking himself, what has he done? Now, that will be the end of the Red Hood part of this issue. Now we're going to jump into Harley Quinn. Now the Harley Quinn part of this isn't really jam-packed full of a lot of emotion, or not a lot of action, but it has a lot of emotion. And what we see is Gotham in the past, and Harley Quinn and Poison Ivy kinda of robbing Penguin and all of his guys, making out with some cash and plants, and then we're picking up in present day. And this is what this issue does, or at least this part of this issue, is it jumps back and forth really quick between the past and now. And what we're really getting is Harley Quinn being alone. Something happened. Now, at the end of the day, this is Gotham City. The only thing people love here is psychosis. Or at least so she thought. That was until she met Poison Ivy, and she learned that she could really love somebody unconditionally. And their partnership, their friendship, it grew and it blossomed. But something has happened, because Poison Ivy is no longer around, and Harley Quinn is left by herself with nobody and nothing but a single plant of Poison Ivy that ironically Poison Ivy had given her as a gift. And this whole time she's been lacking patience, and she's saying that if she just waits, if she's just patient, then Poison Ivy seemingly will come back to her. And then we pick up with our next part, that's Katana and Black Lightning. And we have Black Lightning in a prison with Metamorpho. And Black Lightning asks if he's okay, if everything's going good, and if he remembers anything that happened. And this is when Black Lightning gives us a recap of everything that transpired. And that's when it picks us up in Japan that afternoon. And Black Lightning and Katana are being chased down in the ocean, and they're making their escape on a speedboat. Now, doing their best to repel all of these attacks, these magic assassins are using literal arrows to try to attack them. And these arrows come down, and Black Lightning ends up taking one in the shoulder. Now, they're trying to get out of here, making their escape, but they're getting shot by everything at their disposal in their arsenal. And this is when we see Metamorpho, and he seems to be coming to capture them. because they had him under some kind of spell. And so they got captured and stashed away here, all so they could control Katana. And this is when Rex asks what happened to Katana. And Black Lightning lets him know that she and the person responsible for all of this are probably having a real interesting conversation. But whatever is happening there has nothing to do with this. And we see Black Lightning use his powers and lets him know that he's going to be able to get them out of here. And he charges up this place as strong as he can, and we see the building become alive, and Black Lightning saying, "Wake up, so we can pay them back." And for the last part of this issue, we're taken to Midway City, where we see none other than Cole, aka Grifter. Now this is some years ago, and this is the day he died. They were in the middle of a firefight, and it didn't look like they were gonna be able to make it out. And this is when Cole charges the front lines, only to get shot in a hail of gunfire. This is the day that Cole essentially died and Grifter was born. And before he actually dies, the Justice League comes in and saves the day. Now this is where it picks us up on the outskirts of Gotham City in present day. And it kind of lets us know that this is Cole Cash. You know, the man who calls himself the Grifter. He's really good at things, he's just not as good as like Deathstroke or Deadshot or Lady Shiva. There's a lot of people that are better than him, but he's still really good. And we see him put on his mask and make his way to this helicopter that has landed in front of him. And he puts his hands up, making his way to them, only to see them reach for their guns. And he immediately disarms them and just breaks their faces open. Now, wrestling with one of them, he ends up getting stuck in the water, and the guards come up and pull him at gunpoint. And this is when he sees none other than his boss, Lucius Fox. Because this is Lucius Fox's event, and he's here to try to get this guy's business, and he just kind of beat up his bodyguards and everything. And so this deal is going to fall through, but Lucius Fox doesn't hold it against Grifter because he kind of didn't want the deal to go through anyway. Now, they end up leaving the party and getting in a limo and taking off, heading through Gotham City. And he lets him know that Grifter needs to go out, and he doesn't care where to, and that he's not firing him, but that he needs to take some time off. Go, like, find a friend or something. And so he tells him to take the night off, go see a girl, go do something. And if you need anything, like, just don't worry about it. Focus on yourself tonight. And so he leaves. He heads out and goes to a bar. Now, at this bar, a gentleman approaches him and tells him that someone is ready to see him. After getting patted down and an arsenal of weapons being found, he gets taken into the back, and he's introduced to a face-to-face meeting with the Penguin and Nora Fries. And Cole had asked for Penguin's help to find Nora Fries. But this is when Penguin asks a question, because before things proceed any further, he needs to know, when he asks around, why does he keep hearing the word Marlowe keep coming up? And this is when things go sideways and Grifter grabs a gun and asks Penguin if they can do business or not. Now, picking up a little bit later, we see Batman hanging around outside doing some investigation, and this is when Grifter comes up behind him and just does a snarky remark, just like, "Yeah, you're good, but I'm better." And Batman asks him, like, "Are you sure?" Pressing a button and sending a flash, and Batman putting him on his butt. And Batman telling him he's nothing but a con man. And these two are going at it, really, Batman's just, he's giving it to him. And Grifter's trying his best to try to be funny and cocky, but at the same time, just getting run through the ringer by Batman. And Batman's just like, "Alright, well, I don't have time for this anymore, like, I'm getting out of here." And then we pick up the next morning at Wayne Enterprises with Lucius Fox. And we have Cole looking beat to crap here. And Lucius tells him, like, "Why don't you just take the rest of the afternoon off?" And as he's leaving the building, he ends up stealing a badge from one of these security guards, using it to break into a room. And then it shows us that night at the Gotham River, and GCPD pulled up the body of none other than Nora Fries. And Nightwing and Batman have a strong hunch that it has something to do with the man that calls himself the Grifter. Now, that will be the end of this issue. So let me know what you guys think down in the comments. Personally, I enjoyed most of these stories, but the Red Hood story is really the one that rings the truest to me. It was absolutely phenomenally written. The artwork was top notch, and I cannot wait to see how this 6-issue series comes to a close. Now, as usual, if you have not already, please do me a favor, subscribe to the channel, like this video, and until the next issue.